You hear me in the headphones? Yes?
Everything I do gonna be funky.
Hello, 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 everybody. How is everybody doing today? Today, you are tuned into CP Radio. I am your host, Josiah Iris Ortiz, and with me, I have Jesus, John, Tiana, and David, and you are watching listening to The Takeover. Now, for our first segment, we will have Tiana, and she will be covering Spotlight.
Okay, so there's been a very controversial issue within the NBA that I wanted to address. A lot of the NBA teams are sitting out their star players towards the end of the regular season. And I wanted to ask you guys, and I wanted to talk about if you guys think it's fair that teams are sitting down their star players. Because, like, in my opinion, I don't think it's fair. If you're spending your hard earnings to purchase a ticket to see a certain athlete or team, and the coach decides to sit the athlete that you wanted to sit down, and you traveled and you spent your money, and the NBA spends billions of dollars advertising their brands to fans to go to the games. So once they have everything advertised and you have like your ticket money done, you're like, okay, I paid this, and you're ready to see the team play, and you're trying to see them make history and all that, and then sitting your favorite player out, or not even just one, but 2 or 3 star players, it's not fair. It would be a different story if they're injured. For example, like in Golden State, Kevin Durant was sitting out because he was injured. But it would be not fair to the fans that come and are trying to enjoy a game when the star players aren't there. The bench is just as important as the team because, of course, you need all of the people there to win the game, to go to the championship and everything, because they are important. But it's different that you're sitting out for no reason.
Yeah, like me personally, I'm not really much of a sports person. I've never played sports. I've never really watched sports before, and obviously I'm trying to get into it. But if I was a sports fanatic, and let's say, for example, I was really hard into the Bulls, and I want to see Michael Jordan play. I know he's retired. But if I want to see Michael Jordan play, and I'm paying hard-earned money to go see this particular star play, and he's sitting out, yeah, it's not fair to me, obviously. But at the same time, you kind of have to think of it like this. Like, maybe, they need a break, too. Even if they don't get injured,
yeah.
Sometimes they kind of need to sit out between a few games just to take a breather and to kind of recuperate.
I understand, some people need breaks, especially if you want to, go to the playoffs, some people sit out. But I don't know, it's just if they relentlessly keep sitting out their star players, I just feel like a lot of the fans are going to have bad experiences and just,
Oh, okay, that's a different story. If it's constantly, like, every time they have a game over and over and over again, they're constantly being sat out, that's a different story. I would be very angry. I would be like, why are you sitting out the player that I want to see? Like, like, that just doesn't make sense. So.
But at the same time, they still start, like, they still play, but they don't get as much PT as they're supposed to, so they're actually, like, kind of doing both.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. How about you, John? How you feel about this?
I tell you this right now. I don't do sports. I do concerts. That's it. How about you, David?
Well,
I'm
not much of a sports person either, but if they keep sitting out, then it's like they're kind of being like lazy instead of like playing for their team. Because there's no I in team. Like, you need to cooperate to play with your other teammates when it comes to basketball.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
And like other sports too.
So now we will be moving on to our sports segment with Jesus.
All right, so it's not unusual for parents to be, like, vocally supportive of their children, but LeVar Ball, father of UCLA standout freshman, Lonzo Ball, has begun to make headlines for several outlandish claims. And while Lonzo is considered one of the top NBA prospects and likely a top 3 draft pick come June, some of LeVar's comments seem to be into discussion about Lonzo and his younger and similarly talented brothers. See, like, so LeVar Ball having he's been saying, like, crazy comments saying how Lonzo Ball is better than Steph Curry when in my opinion, I don't believe he's not, because he's still learning, he's still progressing. And LeVar saying how he could beat Jordan in a one-on-one. He wants $1 million contracts for all his sons. So I really think he's asking for it too much. And, like, his big baller brand he's having, he's trying to, like, how do you explain it? Like, show it out more so people could, like, buy from it. But he's like, the prices are being, like, they're really high. So how do y'all feel about that?
I mean, if I was a parent, like, I would want to support my child, but I feel like his father is putting, like, a target on his back as soon as he gets into the NBA, because he's saying all those comments about how he's better than Stephen Curry, and I think that's putting pressure on his son.
Yeah, and how he's forcing him. He's saying that he only wants him to play for the Lakers, and it's not what he wants, it's what the team picks him.
Yeah, I mean, me, if I was a parent, of course, I would want my child to be on that level of greatness. I mean, every parent would want their child to be great. It's just a whole nother story if, like, how do I say this? Like, if you, like, have such a big head and you're just like, oh, my child's better than Steph Curry, or, you know, or he could beat Michael Jordan in a basketball game. Like, it's just, you know, that's a little too much. Yeah.
But now he's not saying that because, like, UCLA, he said how, I remember, like, a couple weeks ago, he said that UCLA is going to win the NCAA championship, and they just lost. So I don't think he's going to be talking anymore.
Yeah, I think that's going to shut him up for, like, at least a little while. You know, sometimes, you know, your head gets too big, so you kind of need something that's just going to, like, I guess, like, flick you in the head and, like, humble yourself. Like, hello, humble yourself. Take a nice slice of humble pie. It tastes like key lime.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. That's great.
I mean, key lime is amazing. So now we will be moving on to one-on-one historical perspectives with John.
Okay, so this event happened on this week, specifically March 30th in 1981. Basically, on that day, President Reagan, our 40th U.S. president, was shot in the chest by 25-year-old John Hinckley outside of a hotel in Washington, D.C. Reagan, who at the time was just finishing a labor meeting at the Washington Hilton Hotel, was walking with his entourage when Hinckley, who was standing with a group of reporters, shot 6 bullets towards the president, hitting Reagan as well as some of his attendants. The president was shot in the left lung, and the bullet just missed his heart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was amazing that he's still alive. Surprisingly, he was able to walk into George Washington University Hospital under his own power, even with his collapsed lung. Before he was treated for surgery, he told his wife, "Honey, I forgot to duck," and told the surgeons, "Please tell me you're Republicans."
Oh, God.
His surgery lasted for 2 hours, and he was listed that he was in a stable and in a good condition afterwards. The day after he was shot, he continued his duties as president and signed a piece of legislation from his hospital bed. On April 11th, he returned back to the White House and was given a hero's welcome by Congress. And around August, he claimed that he was fully recovered from the attempted assassination, although the effects of the fatal gunshot would last with him for years afterwards. John Hinckley Jr. was arrested on the day of the assassination and was booked on federal charges of attempting to assassinate the president. He was also charged and arrested before in the state of Tennessee on weapon charges. In June of 1982, he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. The verdict gained a lot of criticism from the general public, but since Hinckley was still an obvious threat to society, he was placed in St. Elizabeth's Hospital, which is a mental institution. And something I'd like to add, apparently he did not know that he was shot until his Secret Service agents shoved him into his limousine.
What?
Like he clearly did not notice.
He
was
didn't
shot.
notice that
No,
he was shot.
it was
until
weird.
They were just like, "Hey, get in the limo."
I'm
That's
clearly
crazy.
not bleeding. What are you guys talking about?
What is this madness?
So yeah.
Talk about a miraculous recovery.
Yeah, but again, like he didn't really recover. The gunshot, it
I mean,
still
but
hurt
still, like
him.
he's alive nonetheless. Like
Yeah,
that could really kill somebody.
if it hit the heart,
Oh, forget about it. It would have been just game over.
history would change forever.
Oh my gosh, I'm done. So what do you guys feel about this?
Well,
I mean, you already spoke your piece.
that's true.
What do these people even get out of like shooting and assassinating our presidents? Like, why do these people always do this?
Well, it's usually because they have different beliefs from their leader.
Or
But
just like,
isn't,
you know, I shot the president.
Street cred.
Killing them or shooting them, isn't that like too cruel?
Yeah, why don't they don't think about like what if their president got shot?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
That is their person.
Yeah, that's like crazy.
No, I mean like who that shot him, clown.
Oh.
You know, like somebody that they like, what would they feel if they got shot? Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just like
Crazy.
stuff like this is always happening too.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, in 2017.
Like
21st
right now as we speak, someone might be shooting people
Yeah.
somewhere else.
It's crazy.
I mean, well, God forbid that happened, though.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, but
yeah.
it still might be happening.
Yeah.
Environment's crazy.
It really
Yeah.
is.
So now we are going to be moving on to our What's Hot, What's Not segment, which is supposed to be covered by someone else, but they're not here today. So I will be taking over.
He knows who he is, and he'll watch this
Yes.
and have guilt.
Guilt trip.
Mm-hmm.
So Rick Ross, he dropped an album on March 17th, and it was called Rather You Than Me. Obviously, it was pretty big, but one of the things that really, that caught a lot of people talking was two of his songs, one being Apple of My Eye, where he said something about Nicki Minaj. He said, at one point, I told Meek I wouldn't trust Nicki. Instead of beefing with your dog, you just give him some distance. And in his song, When Idols Become Rivals, he was taking not really much shots at Birdman, which, if you guys don't know, he's the CEO of Young Money Cash Money Records, which manages people like Drake, Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, etc. He wasn't really taking shots, in my perspective, what I believe. He was more like saying, like, I'm disappointed. And he said things like, you know, everybody in the hood, like, they idolized Birdman. They wanted to really meet him. But as soon as we got the chance to meet him, we found out that he was wearing a fake watch. And at one point he said something about Lil Wayne, to say it properly, that he said, I hope that you find the kindness in your heart for Wayne. And he even said some stuff about DJ Khaled, that apparently something went down behind the scenes, and like it was just crazy. A lot of stuff was being, you know, not really aired out. I think it was more so like there's some stuff that we didn't know that happened that was being put out there, and also like things that were obviously out there, but he was just giving his opinion on it. So like, what do you guys feel about this Rick Ross Birdman situation.
I mean, I don't really pay attention to that social media.
Me neither.
Really?
Nope.
Well,
'Cause-
I don't listen to this type of music.
Oh,
so
obviously, you're more like a
punk rock, basically.
yeah, which is crazy because his album actually sold at least like around 100,000, which is crazy. And also Drake, he dropped his More Life album, which actually sold, if I am correct, around 500,000, which a lot of people think it's a disappointment just because, you know, it's Drake, and like the last time he had an album, he had like 1 million in the first week, and this one he actually sold 500,000 in the first week, which is, you know, it's kind of crazy because it's like you're kind of comparing him, like it's kind of comparing Usain Bolt to like his biggest record, like the one that made everybody talking, compared to something where he didn't do as good, you know. So that's just like, you know, and a lot of people think that it was like big, a lot, especially as like Drake is fans, I don't know what they're called, they think it was really big. Me personally, I think I didn't really pay attention to much of it, but like in my opinion, it was kind of like a flop, just because in a lot of the songs he was taking shots at a lot of people, like subliminally he was taking shots at Kid Cudi and Jay-Z and etc. And it's like he didn't openly say it for the most part, and I'm just like, that's just, how do I say this politically correctness? That's just like childish, you know. It's just.
Well, I mean, like, I actually heard some of the songs on that album. That album was like, in my opinion, I don't think it was that good, but he did have some good songs that I actually enjoyed. Cause like most of them, he was like, he wasn't even really speaking like real word. Like, how do I say it? It's like gibberish, like Lil Uzi, like the way they
Like
say
mumble
music.
rap.
Yeah, like mumble rap. Yeah, that's why I don't really like it like this album.
You know, and I'm not saying that it flopped completely. I'm just saying, like, compared to, like, the other stuff that I've seen him do, it's, like, I don't really have that much hype towards this particular album.
Oh, yeah, the recent one was actually good.
You know, in comparison to, like, his last album. Like, which one was it? Views?
Yeah. Listen 21.
I don't know why I feel like this album was released so long ago. It's, like, I was like, didn't this More Life album just come out? So anyway, moving on to David and his segment on games.
Thank you, Jazira. And for the gaming section, today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch.
Oh boy.
Woo!
Oh boy.
Like
Like we haven't heard a lot about this already.
as we all know, the Nintendo Switch is, of course, Nintendo's most released console that came out March 3rd, and they got a lot more sales than they expected. There are some good news and some bad news about
Give us
this
the bad
console.
news first.
The bad news is that the Nintendo Switch is like sold out everywhere, and it's really hard to find one.
Well, it's bad for us, not bad
Bad.
for like the company, like
That's true.
That is true.
money.
And then the good news is that starting April 2017, they're looking forward to double their production. They were originally going to make 8 million this year, but now they have to make 16 million.
Whoa, that's crazy.
That is a lot. So how do you guys feel about that?
I mean, for me, when I first heard of this Nintendo Switch thing, I looked at the console. I was just like, what? I know it's a Switch, but it's confusing. It's like 2 Wii remotes, then it's like a Wii U. I'm like,
Well, like,
my brain went numb.
well, it's like from the last from like the trailer that came before the E3 event or something like that. It was like they had like all these games on it. Like you could play NBA, you could play all these types of games on this one console, like making all the other consoles obsolete. But as of right now, their lineup is, well, their popular games from lineup is Zelda, right?
Yep.
Just Zelda. Just Zelda. Just that one game, and that's it.
There's that other game called I think it's 1-2 Switch.
What about
Which
Mario?
is random.
Where's Mario? I didn't know all this.
Super Mario Odyssey?
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, Odyssey. I said Odyssey.
Odyssey?
Odyssey.
Odyssey.
Great, very great.
Very great.
Wee wee.
And then also on the
What?
gaming section. Are we done?
No.
Alright, also,
No.
also on the gaming section, there are 3 games that have been released in the past 3 weeks. A lot of them including Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was released on March 3rd, and it's for the Nintendo Switch. And we also have Mass Effect Andromeda, which came out March 21st, and then another game called Troll and I that also came out on the 21st, which is available for the Xbox One, PS4, and I believe it's also coming out for PC, but I don't know if they confirmed it yet.
So like, how are like the sales for like those specific games since they've been, well, the ones that have been released?
I actually really don't know much, but I think The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild got like a lot of sales because like a lot of people like the Legend of Zelda series. It's so popular, and it's like in a lot of people's childhoods.
I'm not gonna lie, the Legend of Zelda timeline is confusing.
No,
Like, the whole gaming thing is just confusing. I'm like, wait, what happens? Like, you had me on the first one, and then I got lost. So, anyway, that will conclude today's show. Come join us next week when John talks about Power Rangers.
Oh boy, I
gonna be
might.
swell.
I need to watch it first, then I'll do it.
you didn't watch it?
No, because like it was. I tried to go watch on Saturday, sold out. All the shows.
All right. We save that for next week. All right.
All right.
My
Bye-bye.
My
See
magical
you next week.
narwhals.